All right, guys, thank you for that. And it's time now for a community segment on this Friday morning, which means that we've got Mary O'Connell. We're chatting Running on Ice, talking all things AI and supply chain. Mary, thank you for being here. Before we do that, I'm going to kind of bring us back to our Tuesdays community segment, going like check call vibes-ish, because someone who spent their time in brokerage is someone who is our 3PL expert here at FreightWaves. I want to quickly get your thoughts on the Convoy situation, because you have kind of that firsthand perspective. Obviously, digital brokerage is something that's new to the industry, transformative. Sometimes it doesn't quite work out. What are your thoughts on how this all played out?
I mean, obviously it wasn't anyone's goal to be in this situation. I don't think anyone woke up and said, yeah, this is a good time to, have to figure out what to do with this company we've worked so hard to build. So unfortunately, it's a very, horrible situation for them to be in. I don't wish that on anyone. But as for the industry, Convoy had some good technology. They had a lot of good automation and processes. I think it was just a matter of getting them kind of implemented. And unfortunately it does happen. They might have been a little early for the industry, or they might have had some tech that people weren't exactly ready for, or it just wasn't quite their time. Then, so I would definitely say that it wasn't necessarily intentional, but it's something that isn't necessarily surprising, especially given that, they kind of came in at the beginning of a market upswing, and then they had to face that first, a really, truly aggressive downswing. So I would say that pretty much as long as they tried to ride out the ups and downs, but I just don't think they quite had it in them.
It was a massive up and a massive down there as well to kind of deal with. So moving on to the topic of today, tell us a little bit about who and what Athena is.
So today on Running on Ice, we get to talk to PackSafe, and they have this really cool, also really cool technology. It's basically it's like a conversational AI tool that's there to kind of help their customers make decisions, optimize their network, everything like that. So they have basically this tool that's able to you can ask it a question. It's kind of like a chat GPT, but way cooler, and also related specifically to cold chain things. So basically Athena is supposed to serve as the cold chain expert within your organization. So if you are a shipper that's not exactly sure how much dry ice you might need to ship something from, Seattle to Nepal, Athena can help you out with that. And if you're not sure kind of what this, if you want something to do data analysis for you and, kind of help make a decision based off that data, Athena can churn through it much faster than maybe a data analysis team sitting there tugging away at it for a couple of weeks. Athena can just jump in, do it, and kind of provide you a response within minutes. So it's really cool to kind of harness and leverage AI to, help you along in your supply chain.
So obviously we know that when it comes to cold chain, supply chain, that data analytics and that data scrutiny really is super important, because all of these loads are so temperature sensitive, as we know about. Can you talk a little bit about how this kind of helps break down the process a little bit, and from that manual process can lead to that smarter and quicker decision making? Obviously it cuts down costs a little bit, because now you are protecting your loads a little better.
Absolutely. So it's really kind of, it's like a double cost savings, because now if you have this tool that's going to help you, with packaging, you don't have to rely on Joe that's been in the warehouse for 20 years and his kind of gut feeling of how much dry ice you should put in there. We love Joe. We love his gut feeling. But also if he's on vacation, you don't want everything to come to a screeching halt. You want him to be able to take vacation so that way he can be rested and come back. But having Athena to kind of fill in that gut instinct is great. And then having and then also in the back office, you don't have to hire a whole team of data analysis people. You can keep that team pretty small, put Athena in, and really kind of make sure that, you are getting the best decision and you are making the right choices for your organization. So really it's cost saving on the front end for not wasting product, not, having unnecessary transportation costs, and knowing kind of when to ship things and the best route for them to take. And then also on the back end, it saves more and not having to necessarily hire a whole team of people that won't produce a result as quickly as potentially this program can. So it's something that is not necessarily replacing anyone's job. It's just kind of enhancing them to make it more productive and get to decisions faster. So that way you don't have to wait, 6 months for a report to be built and then hope that it's the right report that you need built.
Yeah, it's definitely a certain time-saving device there as well. So how does this change the way, in terms of how people interact with these data analytics? And obviously, you don't have people now that have to sift through all of the numbers and so forth. But more to the point, how are they going to interact with it? And are there any limitations at this point, right in time, that we still need to have maybe something as a backup, or how effective Athena is in terms of interpreting data and moving it back to the user as quickly as possible?
Yeah, so definitely as the program goes, it's going to learn based off of your supply chain, off your data, off everything within your organization. It's not going to say, okay, well, I've compiled all this data from other organizations. This is what it should do. No, it takes the time to kind of learn your history and everything like that. So obviously at the beginning, it'll take a little bit of time for it to get started because it's still kind of learning the best practices at your organization. But outside of that, its limitations are pretty much just, all the data that's available to it. So if you're asking it something that you don't even have data on, it's obviously not necessarily going to understand that, but you would have that problem with, a data analysis or a data research team as well, which is not the end of the world. You just need to go find out how to start capturing that data and feed it in. So obviously it's going to be a bit of a learning curve at the beginning, but the fact that it is kind of conversational does mean that, if you ask it, I want to know how much dry ice it is, it should have that answer. But if you want it to make a decision, it might take a little bit more prompting and it might take a little bit more time to kind of truly get the answer that you want out of it. So it's going to be a steep learning curve. So you won't necessarily see those cost savings right away up front. It's going to be something that over time will be that big cost savings and it truly start impacting the bottom dollar in a positive way.
And that's the beauty of machine learning. The more you use it, the more you put into it, the more accurate things you get out of it are. Mary, thank you for joining us this morning. Of course, we can catch you running on ice this afternoon right here on FreightWaves TV, and we'll get your newsletter as well today.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we'll take a short break. We'll come back with a whole lot more, including what's coming up in the FreightWaves universe after this.